Not fireworks, not spectacle, not noise, but silence. A silence so heavy it pressed against the heart. A great gorilla sat before a small stone, his enormous hands trembling as he signed a word no one thought an animal could ever understand. Goodbye. It wasn't a gravestone. There was no body beneath it. The baby was never buried there. But this was where Coco chose to sit. This was where he spoke the unthinkable without a voice. And in that moment, something shifted. Scientists, keepers, the world itself. Everyone watching knew they were seeing more than behavior. They were seeing grief. They were seeing love. They were seeing the miracle of an animal soul breaking through the silence of our disbelief. A newborn gorilla clings desperately to the warmth of its mother's chest, a fragile life barely the size of a football, its eyes fluttering as they taste the light of the world for the very first time. Every breath is shallow, every movement trembling, as though the earth itself is unsure whether to allow this tiny creature to remain. Just a few feet away, in the shadow of ancient time, a towering figure watches, silent, motionless, yet brimming with thought. This is Coco, the elder silverback of the sanctuary, a legend carved into both memory and myth. To the researchers, he is no ordinary gorilla. They whisper about him in reverent tones. The mind of a poet in the body of a beast. For years, he has signed words that pierce human hearts. Friend, sad, happy. Why? Yet now, his gaze is not upon humans, nor upon the mother recovering from labor. His eyes are locked on the infant. The way he stares is not curiosity. It is recognition, as though a secret long hidden within the wild is awakening. The Spirit of God has made me, and the breath of the Almighty gives me life. And in that quiet space, under the canopy of dawn light, a bond begins that will defy reason, challenge science, and open the door to a miracle that no one, not even the wisest among them, is prepared to face. 2 days later, the sanctuary trembles with urgency. The mother gorilla has fallen ill. Temporary, the vets reassure. Treatable, they insist. But for the fragile child, time is no luxury. It needs nourishment, warmth, constant care. The researchers make a decision they swore would never happen this early. They allow Coco supervised proximity. At first, it is only meant for observation. A test. A chance for him to sit near. Nothing more. But Coco does not merely watch. He acts. His massive fingers move with a deliberate grace, curling in a loop, slow and purposeful. The sign is simple. Safe. Of course, the infant does not yet understand. Too young, too new. But then, like a whisper from the unseen, the baby mimics, clumsily, awkwardly, but unmistakably. The researchers dismiss it as reflex, coincidence, a twitch of muscle. Yet Coco does not see chance. He leans forward, repeats the gesture again. Firmer, clearer. This time, the infant's hand stretches, not to mimic but to touch, to connect. The enclosure falls into a silence so heavy it presses on every heart watching. The researchers record, analyze, argue. But deep down, they know something holy has just taken place. Out of the mouths of infants and nursing babies, you have established strength. That moment, that spark of connection, would ripple forward into history. For a baby barely 9 days old had begun to bridge the divide between species. And it was Coco, not man, who lit the fire. What follows shakes the foundations of science and touches the very soul of humanity. The team installs 24/7 cameras, heat sensors, motion trackers, every device they own to capture proof of the impossible. Days pass and patterns emerge. The infant's tiny hands repeat movements with intent, not randomness. They begin to form signs. Hug. Mama. Safe. The youngest signing gorilla ever recorded in the world. Not at 2 years of age, not even at 1, but at just 9 days old. The sanctuary director enters the control room one midnight, her hands trembling as she replays the footage over and over. Did Coco teach it? She whispers. No one answers, for there is no explanation that fits within reason. And then comes the moment that melts every barrier of disbelief. On a quiet morning, as the mother, recovering slowly, dozes in sunlight, Coco crawls forward, deliberately careful. He does not touch the baby. He does not intrude. Instead, he places a piece of fruit before it and signs one word: gift. The infant stares, shifts inch by inch, then touches the fruit. Slowly, deliberately, it signs back, "Thank you." The researchers collapse into stunned silence, one choking back tears, his voice cracking. That can't be. But it is. A baby, barely able to walk, speaking with a gorilla, not by instinct, but by choice. And in that space, heaven itself seems to echo. For with God, nothing shall be impossible. From that moment, their fates are sealed together. Coco will not leave the infant's side. He grooms it tenderly, carries it beneath his shadow, cradles it as though fragile glass. Every day now begins the same. Dawn breaks, and before even the sun has risen fully, the baby crawls to him, and he is waiting, always waiting. Hello. His hand sign. His massive body crouched low to meet fragile eyes. They share fruit, tug on palm leaves, trace patterns in the dirt. But this is more than play. This is teaching. Coco shows the infant how to stack stones, sort objects, point to matching photos. In return, the baby creates something no one has ever documented. A 3-sign sequence. Happy. Mama. Stay. The researchers replay it again and again, writing notes with shaking hands. This is not mimicry, this is meaning. Train up a child in the way he should go. Even when he is old, he will not depart from it. And for the first time, humanity realizes they are no longer the sole keepers of language, of thought, of soul. Something eternal is unfolding, and Coco is its prophet. But miracles are often tested by shadows, subtle at first. The baby slower to wake, hands less eager to sign, eyes dimming with fatigue. The researchers blame overstimulation, cut sessions short, reduce the light, simplify play. Yet the signs remain troubling. The baby begins signing hurt, then no, then, heartbreakingly, sleep. No wake. Coco notices before anyone else. He pulls the infant close, refuses to let handlers near. His massive hands, once filled with patience, now tremble as he signs urgently to the humans. Help! Quick! The vet runs every test, every scan, but finds nothing. No parasites, no sickness, no answer. Yet Coco knows. He stops eating, stops playing, stops everything but holding the child close. One afternoon, he carries the infant to the very center of the enclosure, stares through the glass, and signs with trembling urgency. Fix. Please. It is the first time Coco has ever begged. And outside, a seasoned vet drops his head into his hands, tears falling silently. It bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. Days pass like storms. The baby still smiles sometimes, still signs weakly when it has strength, but the brightness fades. And yet, Coco never lets go. Under the red lights of night, the cameras capture him signing gently, "Go sleep. No pain." Then he hums, low and steady, his chest vibrating with a sound that is neither song nor silence, but something eternal. The baby trembles, tiny hands reaching up one last time to sign love. Coco does not answer in signs. He simply holds it tighter, as though by strength alone he could shield it from death. Hours pass, dawn breaks, and just as the first golden light of morning filters into the enclosure, something happens no one is prepared to witness. The baby stirs, fingers twitch, arms lift weakly, not toward Coco, but toward the heavens. With trembling hands, the infant signs one word: goodbye. The entire control room freezes, breath caught, hearts breaking. And in that silence, a sacred truth shatters the veil between human and animal. He will wipe every tear from their eyes, and there will be no more death, or sorrow, or crying, or pain. But this is not the end, for just when despair settles deepest, the sanctuary is shaken by the whisper of hope. Against all odds, the baby survives that night. Its breaths grow steadier. Its strength returns slowly, as though the very act of saying goodbye had given it the will to fight. Day by day, under Coco's endless care and the human's desperate devotion, life flows back into its fragile body. Weeks later, laughter, if laughter could ever exist in signs, fills the enclosure. The baby, stronger now, presses its forehead to Coco's chest and signs love with clear, certain hands. This time, Coco responds not only with pride, but with joy, embracing the child as if it were his own blood. The researchers weep openly, no longer scientists but witnesses of a miracle, and the world would come to know this story, not as science, not as study, but as a testament to the unbreakable bond between animal and humanity. A viral YouTube story, yes, a touching animal story, a heartwarming animal video, an emotional, true story of survival. But more than that, it is proof that love transcends species, language, even suffering itself. And now these three remain: faith, hope, and love. But the greatest of these is love. The baby survived. Coco never left its side, and together, they rewrote the boundaries of what it means to be alive, to connect, to love. This wasn't just an animal rescue. It wasn't just a dramatic wildlife rescue or a touching animal story. This was humanity meeting the wild face to face and realizing, perhaps for the first time, that the wild carries the same soul we do, and in that truth lies the miracle. The baby's hands are not fumbling, not reflex, not coincidence. Slow, controlled, intentional. The researchers lean in, breath caught in their chests. The first sign comes. Love. A gasp breaks the silence. A clipboard clatters to the floor. The second sign follows like lightning splitting the sky. Coco. Not signed to him, but about him. A declaration, a naming. The air in the observation room thickens. Then comes the third. Thank you. A word so impossibly human, spoken in silence by trembling fingers. Behind the glass, chaos shatters into stillness. One assistant covers her mouth with both hands. Another whispers brokenly, "No, no, no." The infant strains, its fingers quivering like fragile branches in a storm. One last effort, a final sign forms. Incomplete, trembling, barely born before collapsing mid-motion. Sorry. The tiny hand falls limp. The body slumps forward. Lifeless. For a moment, the world stops. Coco lowers his massive head. He does not roar, does not rage. Instead, his chest heaves with one long, slow breath. Then it comes. The sound, a guttural cry, vibrating from the depth of the earth itself. Not anger, not warning, pure grief, raw, primal, ancient. The sanctuary quakes with it. Coco pulls the lifeless infant into his arms, tucks its head beneath his chin, and rocks gently. The sound continues, rising, falling. A wordless morning song. No one behind the glass moves. No one speaks. A researcher falls to their knees. Another sobs openly. Even the camera operator forgets their work, letting the footage roll unframed, unshaken, untouched. Jesus wept. And in that moment, the entire earth weeps with him. Word spreads before the hour is over. Before the sun sets, the video has been seen by millions. Scientists, parents, linguists, children, therapists. They all weep. Not just at death, but at comprehension. For how could an infant barely weeks old understand enough to say goodbye? How could it find the strength to sign not only love, but also thank you and sorry? Online forums ignite like wildfire. Some call it miraculous. Some call it proof. Some call it heartbreak beyond belief. News stations around the world break into live coverage. Subtitles crawling across the screen. Analysts, professors, experts in primate cognition debate what they've seen, but not one denies it. Not one can say, "This didn't happen." An infant's final farewell has become an international reckoning, and at the center of it all sits Coco, still rocking the tiny body, hours after breath has left it. When the keepers finally gently approach, they expect resistance, fury, heartbreak turned violent. But Coco does not resist. He lays the body in the grass with reverence, signs once toward the caretakers, "No more," and retreats into shadow. That night, The cameras are turned off, not because they must, but because no one in the sanctuary can bear to watch anymore. The silence that follows is heavier than grief itself. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. The next day, the sanctuary feels hollow. Not quiet, hollow, as though the air itself has stopped moving. Coco has not signed in days. He does not eat. He does not touch his enrichment toys. He does not respond when his name is called. He sits hunched in the far corner of the enclosure, head bowed low, unmoving, his massive frame shrunk by the weight of absence. The staff tries everything. His favorite fruits, his most familiar handlers, even looping a video of the infant playing on a small monitor. Nothing breaks through. Coco doesn't blink, doesn't stir. He is present in body, but gone in spirit. His grief is not abstract. It is visible, physical. He clutches the blanket the infant once slept on, presses it to his chest, lifts his hand halfway into signs before letting it collapse unfinished. Behind the scenes, the staff faces a battle of their own. The footage of the baby's final signs, now viewed by more than 12 million people, has become a phenomenon. Letters pour in. Donations flood their inbox. Songs are written. Classrooms around the world teach transcripts of the baby's farewell. But debate rages. Should they release the full footage? Should the world see every second, every tremble, every tear? They argue ethics. They argue dignity. They argue pain. And then, a researcher scrubbing through old footage finds something hidden in the shadows. Low light, no sound. But the signs are unmistakable. Coco sits cross-legged. The infant lies curled against his chest. Slowly, Coco signs, "Go sleep. No pain." He brushes the baby's head gently, then adds, "Okay." The last gesture, a hand over heart, then opening wide. Permission. It wasn't just comfort. It was farewell. He knew, not just that the baby was dying. He knew it was time to let go. To everything there is a season, a time to be born, and a time to die. When the clip is shown to the sanctuary director, her decision is instant. Release it. And the next morning, the full footage goes live. It breaks records within hours. Anchors weep openly on air. Comment sections turn into sprawling memorials. Parents post about their children. Hospice centers request permission to use the footage in training for end-of-life care. Some accuse exploitation. Others whisper sacred. One headline captures the world's voice. Coco didn't just mourn. He understood. Back in the sanctuary, change comes slowly. Like dawn breaking after a long night. On the 8th day, Coco walks to the nest where the infant once slept. He doesn't lie down, doesn't reach for the blanket. He simply sits in silence. A young keeper trembling enters to leave food at the edge of the enclosure. She pauses, raises her hand, and signs thank you. For the first time in over a week, Coco responds. His gesture is small, fragile, small, light, gone. Then, without drama, without roar, he turns and walks away. His shadow stretching into the trees. No fight, no anger, just a quiet departure. That evening, the staff drafts a formal memo. Emotional rituals in primate loss. But among themselves, they name it something else. Coco's goodbye. And when the sanctuary gates open the next morning, the road outside is lined with cars, reporters, students, families, strangers, all drawn by a story that is not science, not spectacle, but something eternal. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Coco lost the baby, but he gave humanity something we never expected. Not just a viral YouTube story, not just a touching animal video, not just another dramatic wildlife rescue that ends in tears, but a glimpse of the sacred, a reminder that love, grief, and goodbye are not bound by species. They belong to all creation, and though the baby is gone, its final signs still echo across the world. Love. Coco. Thank you. Sorry. Words no one will ever forget. Words that prove beyond all doubt. The wild is not silent. It speaks. It weeps. It loves. And sometimes, it teaches us how to be human. Not to see a spectacle. Not for entertainment, but to stand in silence before a simple stone engraved with a single word, goodbye. It is not a gravestone. No body lies beneath it. The baby was never buried there. Yet, it is sacred ground. Because this is where Coco once sat. This is where he raised his great hands, trembling, and signed his final farewell. A word that shattered hearts and silenced the world. And so, people come from faraway places, from cities and villages, from schools and hospitals. They come not to see a gorilla behind glass, but to feel something they were never taught to expect. That animals grieve. That animals remember. They stand before the stone to mourn a baby they never met. A baby who lived only in Coco's arms, but somehow touched the soul of humanity. But Coco himself is not there anymore. He has not returned since the day he signed that word. He spends his days higher in the trees, quieter, more withdrawn. He rarely signs now. He hardly vocalizes. The staff knows better than to push him. They let him watch, process, heal in the only way he can. And then, one morning, something changes. A group of children arrives on a school field trip. Their laughter drifts through the sanctuary like little bells. One small girl lingers behind. She presses her hand against the glass. Her fingers move carefully, nervously, in the way she was taught. Just one word. I remember. The staff freeze. The word is simple, but it drifts into the air like incense. Coco sees it, and for the first time in weeks, he responds. Slowly, deliberately. One word. Hope. The world feels it. Headlines ignite. The footage spreads across classrooms and homes, across screens and hearts. The sanctuary launches something new. It isn't just about gorillas anymore. It's about compassion, about connection, about the weight of loss and the miracle of memory. Teachers play the video in ethics lessons. Therapists show it to grieving children. Hospice nurses whisper it to families at the edge of goodbye. Quietly, steadily, the world begins to change. A month later, the sanctuary receives a call. Somewhere deep in the forest, another life has been broken. An infant gorilla, fragile and trembling, orphaned by deforestation. No mother, no bond, just fear. The rescue center asks, will Coco accept him? There is no promise. Coco is older now, cautious, scarred by memory, but they say yes. The day arrives. The crate door creaks open. The baby stumbles out, wobbling, terrified. He turns toward a tree, desperate to vanish. Coco doesn't move. The air is heavy, waiting. And then, slowly, carefully, he descends step by step. No rush, no sound. He stops 3 feet away. His hands rise. He signs one word. Friend. The baby freezes, blinks, then crawls forward, straight into Coco's arms. And in that moment, the entire sanctuary exhales at once. Later, the director is asked, why do you think Coco accepted him so quickly? The answer is quiet, almost reverent. He was ready. That night, staff review the footage. In the corner of the frame, Coco does something no one expected. He pulls something from a pile of straw, old, faded, fragile, but intact. The baby's blanket, the one from long ago. Gently, he places it into the infant's nest. And then, just before the clip ends, his hands move again. 2 words, still love. Coco's story goes on, softer than before, but no less powerful. Because the world is watching now, listening, learning. A baby once signed goodbye, and the world, hesitant, trembling, signed back. Sometimes it takes a voice we never expect to show us what it means to be human. A gorilla, a newborn, a message without sound, a farewell we will never forget. In a world that so often underestimates animals, this story forced us to look deeper, not just at them, but at ourselves, at the grief we carry, at the love that lingers, at the unspoken bonds that hold us all. If this story touched your heart, leave a comment and tell us what part stayed with you the longest. Did you believe animals could feel this much? Do you believe it now? Tap like if you felt anything stir inside you, and subscribe if you want more stories like this. Stories that prove empathy knows no species. Because sometimes, The most human stories are told by those who cannot speak. In the end, it wasn't science that explained what happened. It wasn't research papers, or debates, or even the endless footage replayed across the world. It was something far simpler, far deeper. A miracle born not of words, but of silence. A newborn gorilla's trembling hands, spelling out a farewell no human taught, no book recorded, no theory could predict. A giant's broken heart choosing to hold, to comfort, to release, and a world. Our world. Pausing long enough to finally listen. Coco's story will not be remembered for the tears it caused, but for the truth it revealed. That love is not bound by language, that grief is not reserved for humans, and that empathy, real, soul-shaking empathy, belongs to every creature who has ever dared to care. The baby's final word was sorry, but the legacy it left was anything but sorrow. It was hope. Hope that somewhere between their hands and ours, between their hearts and ours, lies the proof that we are not so different. And maybe that is the greatest miracle of all. So if this story touched you, don't let it fade. Carry it. Share it. Because sometimes the most human lessons don't come from us. They come from the ones we never believed could speak. And when they finally do, the only question left is, were we listening?